Good morning, fellow Plexers. Today's video is about parental controls. For your minor children or even your friends' minor children, but this will require a separate Plex account for your friends' minor children from their own Plex account. With your own children in your own household, you can create a managed user based off your profile. But I would suggest if the kids are older and you don't have an email account started for them, maybe start one. As time goes on, the email address they may want to have for professional purposes may not be available, and right now you might be able to get Susie.Anna.whatever at Gmail or Yahoo, and you may not be able to get that when they're older. So maybe grab that for them now, and if they want to use it, they do. But you could set up a Plex account for them that way too, naturally, that you have control over. But I don't want to go through this article fully. I just want to show it by example. But this article exists. And it's not that long. It tells you how to use the parental controls. What I do want to stop at is over here at Wikipedia, at this article, TV parental guidelines, because these may not be as familiar to you as the ratings for a movie. So basically we're going in this order. TVY is designed for the youngest kids, TVY7, TVG, TVPG, TV14, and TVMA. And if you use the restrictions for a child account, as they hit certain milestones, you can add other ratings in. So maybe have this list handy before you try to apply ratings. So what I have set up is I have Firefox going with a test user logged in, and I have my regular web app logged in. I'm under the Manage Library Access, and I've clicked into this user. So I'll bring this full screen. This is the interface of the Plex server user and not the user itself. So I'm sharing these libraries from my main server. Everything's a TV show library except for these two. Live stage shows, kids movies, stand-up comedy, 4K movies, my huge movie library, and concerts and documentaries. So if I go to restrictions, you'll see I've got only G and GP movies applied, and I have these applied. TVG, the lowest restriction, or the most restrictive, let's say. TVY, TVY7, and TVY7FV. That stands for fantasy violence. And I'll talk about that later once we get into a library example. So I can simply edit for TV shows, and I can either allow or I could exclude. If there's only a few things I wanted to exclude, I could do that here and not have to do anything under the allow line. For movies, I have G and GP, and there's a lot of options. And you have to understand that old movies had no rating applied, or they might have had a rating of approved, or they might have had a rating of passed. So I'm going to add passed in and approved. I think approved was for general audiences back in the day. So I'll save these changes, and then we'll go over to the client app, and let me refresh this browser. So I have 14 concerts showing, 41 documentaries, and 734 movies, 2 4K movies, 112 kid movies, 33 of those live stage shows, and 2 from the stand-up comedy. So let's do a direct comparison with my actual library. Let's find concerts. The library contains 257, and the ratings on the movie section of the profile allows 14 to be seen by that child. Documentary is 41 out of 572 documentaries. Main movie library is 734 out of almost 6,700 possible movies. The 4K was low out of 87 possible movies. Let's see how the kids' library fared with this. 112 movies is what the restriction is allowing out of 170. So that means in my regular kids' movie library, I have some movies that some might deem inappropriate for a small child, but I can assure you that I think they're all pretty safe, but somehow something's not being picked up. But if I sort this by year, I could have some things that are unrated. Like, let's look at this one. Nope, that has a G rating. Well, let me do it this way. Let's sort the library for unrated content. All right, I'm looking for the spot. It's probably right in front of me. All right, so let's do the not rated. So there's a lot of things in here that are not rated. And you could just simply scroll through and then manually change this if you wanted. Now, it really doesn't make a hill of beans once the media is scanned into your server. So if I wanted to hit the dot here, I could quickly select as many posters as I wanted, and I could edit the movies in a group, and then I could add in my own G rating, and that would bring this content into the library for a kid. Let's see what else is here. None. All right, so none of these kid TV shows up under none. Let's try approved. One is under approved from 1947. So this is really pretty easy to fine tune on your own server to get media that's being blocked for a young person back into viewership by them. All right, then we left off at performing arts. 33 were brought into the kids profile out of almost 900 performances. And again, this might be the same issue. If I sort by content rating and I look at not rated, there's 111 items. Some of these may be inappropriate and some might not be, and you could again fine tune it by just changing the rating to something appropriate. Maybe you'd never want your kid to see it until they were 17. You could put a different rating for that versus allowing something they could see. So there's a lot of customization, and it really doesn't take too long. And you're making good choices for kid profiles for other friends and family also. All right, so now let's compare stand-up. There's the two there. Out of 274. So now let's do TV shows. The regular TV show library has 37 out of 810. So this is a bit restrictive with the settings I've set, but this would be for a younger child. Now TV show kids, let's see how much I lose out of that library. Out of 108, we've got 90. But again, this is going to be due to older series having a rating of none. There's 4. And let's see what the TV 14 brings in. And now TV PG. So I think between those options. You might allow a TV PG based on the age of your child and the content you have. So Tom and Jerry is considered PG-13. And if that's the one show you want to bring in, but the rest you want to keep out, again, you can edit at the show level and change this to a different rating. It's really not that hard to manage. So let's show you how the client feature works. I'll start the Plex HTPC client up on this Linux desktop computer. So the only part about this is, as the adult, you have to switch users when you're done using the client app. Otherwise, it will come back up and load under your profile. So you simply go to your profile name and you switch user, and oh, I missed a step. So let's go back in here. All right, so I'm back at this user. I want to make them a member of home first. Confirm. And then let's see. Oh, there's my email coming in from Plex. I've been invited. I'm now accepting. And if I refresh this, and I go to home, Plex home, you see this test user account has now been added and there's no PIN. So all is good. So let's go back to the HTPC client app and try this again. Let's see what happens, because I had signed myself out of, well, I had switched away from my profile account. It's still here, and now I'll go back up, switch user, and now I have that kid's profile without a PIN, so it can easily be set in. So that's all you really have to remember. Let's set this up. You have to remember to switch out of your profile to the kid's profile on a common TV. So everything we saw on the web app is now available on this client device. So ratings are really easy, and I probably should have done this video a long time ago, but all my kids are in their 30s, and it's up to them to police their own kids, or any friends their own kids. And I've offered it to my son and daughter-in-law who have my 2 little grandsons. I've offered it to a couple other friends who have little kids. If they want to set up another email account for their kids, I'll happily give them access to the libraries they want me to give them access to, and put whatever restrictions in place, or a combination of library selection and restrictions, so that they can do that. The only problem is they won't be able to fast switch like you can with your own child in your own home as a Plex server. So if my friends had an email account for their normal Plex content and an email account for their kids, I don't believe there's any way for them to fast switch the 2 users off my account. There might be. They might be able to invite them to home, but that's a test I'm not going to try to set up to figure out, because my brain is breaking just thinking about it. But if it works for you, let me know in the description of the video. So, thank you for watching, and happy Plexing.